Greetings, I am Pillar Nexus, Ancient Gladiator today with Pillarless Tabletop Games. It's going to be an odd one because, well, I don't actually own the games. I just happen to like them, so here we go. Let's talk about the Mayfair Crayon Rail games. I'm not sure if there are any Crayon Rail games outside of Mayfair, but those are the ones I'm most familiar with, so that's what we'll be talking about. Overview is for what one of those games is. Uh, you'll get cards, you'll build track, you'll pick up loads and deliver them to your cards' locations. Random events will happen, and overall, you're just trying to expand your rail network as you connect major cities and earn enough money to win the game. So, as part of the setup, you'll start with an amount of money. You'll have 3 cards. Each card will have 3 destinations looking for 3 goods and 3 amounts of money paid out accordingly. There will be 2 rounds of initial track building. It'll go clockwise from the first player for the first round of building, and then starting with the last player and going back around in reverse, we'll do another round of building. And then you'll place your train where you intend to pick up your initial load to eventually get going to your first destination. So, when it's your turn, you will choose to either move or draw. You will move based on your train speed and pick up and deliver along the way. After doing that, you can either build track or upgrade your train. If you choose to draw instead, you'll discard your entire hand of cards. Then draw 3 new cards, resolving any events that come up. And then you'll draw until you have 3 if you have to resolve any events. So, when you move a number of points based on your train speed. Like Empire Builder, you start with a train of like 9 speed. And from one point to the next point that you have connected with your track is 1 space of movement. You can always use your track, but you have to maintain direction. If you've been going a certain way, you'll have to keep going that way until you hit a city to turn around. Something that might happen is you might get to a point where you're stuck and you just need to make a little triangle to get turned around. Because you underestimate the cost of what it would cost to get through somewhere, or something else happened. I don't know. You'll reach cities to pick up the goods that they have there. You have a limited amount of space on your train, usually 2 at the start, and you can work your way up to 3. And then when you reach a city based on your cards with the appropriate load for that city, you'll be able to deliver. So what will happen is you'll receive the money, and then it's entirely possible that the card you draw has an event. And then after the event's resolved, you'll draw another card. If it's another event, you'll have to resolve that too. Sometimes you may have 2 cards with 2 goods going to the same place. After you deliver one, you'll have to wait before you can deliver the other one to see if any events come up. Part of what makes this challenging is there's a limited amount of space on your train. There's a limited number of goods chips. It's entirely possible you go to get something and everyone else has it. The more players, the more likely this is going to happen. But ultimately, it's just a game of pick up and deliver to make your money. But after you've done your movement, you can build a new track. Usually, you're limited to spending no more than $20. Difficult terrain is going to cost more. You can always build across clear terrain pretty easily. But forests and mountains and building across rivers, it gets expensive. Sometimes you'll find yourself building across very cheap terrain, like desert, only for sandstorm events to happen, which we'll get into. And that'll suck because you'll have to rebuild. You can't overwrite other people's track if it's still up. You could wait for a disaster to happen and then build where their track used to be if you want to be a jerk. But in general, it does not do well to be too mean in this game. Ultimately, you want to connect your major cities. Usually it's all but one. Alternatively, you can just skip building completely and upgrade your train. It's usually like 20 to improve your speed or improve your cargo capacity. In Empire Builder, there's one train option for if you improve your speed, another if you improve your cargo. If you upgrade your train a second time from either of those, you get the combined 12 speed, 3 space train. Turns will go by faster as networks are built thoroughly enough that nobody really needs to build anymore unless disasters happen, which they will. You'll draw them when you replace a card from doing your delivery. They'll last until the end of your next turn. They generally suck. It's very rare that anything good ever happens from an event. But it is possible, like delivering fuel to the north or a new bridge connection because we're living in a magic world. The things you can expect to have happen in this game, in any of these games. Taxes. Depending on how much money you have, you'll have to spend some of it. The more, the worse. And then money will have to be public knowledge from now on. Usually it ends up public knowledge before then anyway, but in general, you're not really supposed to know how much another person has exactly before taxes. Strikes. It can be impossible to pick up or deliver certain places. It'll slow you down. Weather and natural disasters like earthquakes, hurricanes, snowstorms, volcanoes erupting. The fantasy game has a dragon that sometimes goes on a rampage. It'll slow you down, it'll take your loads, it'll make you lose turns. And then just derailments. Just something will cause trains to derail outside of usual weather. And you'll just lose loads and turns. So part of the strategy in the game is you want to pick up stuff even if you don't immediately need it. Just in case you might have to throw it away. Or if you're really lucky, you pull the card to where it's going to go and it's not too far away. Ultimately, the game's got to end. So when you reach a certain amount of money, like 200 mil for most of these, you'll have to declare that you have that much. And if you're connected to enough cities. Then there's usually a point past that, like 250 mil, where as soon as it ends, or as soon as a person reaches that point, it plays until the end of the round. If it was the last player in turn order, then the game's pretty much over. If it was the first player, then each other player's got one last turn to try and have the most money to win. I do not know the tiebreaker past that, though. I'll have to look at a rule book for the game one of these days. But why do I like these? First off, the chaos. You never know what's going to happen. Someone could get just as screwed as you. At which point, you might have a chance to recover. It doesn't require too much thought. Yeah, you kind of have to think about your routes and all that. But once you've got your route established, most of your network established, you don't really have to think too hard about it. The game usually comes with these sheets for where loads can be found and where cities are found that help. It's just really nice to see the progress of your humble rail network start, you know, goes from very small to nationwide. That's pretty impressive to see that, how that transforms. And once you've played one of the games, the others, um, the others are generally about the same to figure out. There are some weird ones like Iron Dragon introduces some interesting stuff, like boats and foremen and the underground. And, but that's probably like the one like weird one out, but it's still not too difficult to figure out and get used to. So yeah, if you've never tried a Crayon Rail game before, I believe they're trying to bring the games back to reprint them and all that. So I do recommend checking those games out. All right, thank you very much for watching. This has been Pillar, and I will see you next time.